Hello, everybody. My name is meteorologist Hutch Johnson. There is a severe weather outbreak ongoing in the Central Plains, heading right into the St. Louis area, where we have numerous active tornado and thunderstorm warnings in effect. And we actually have severe weather warnings in Minnesota, where overnight and into tomorrow, a blizzard warning has also been pasted. I'll have details on what's going on right now as we peruse the active weather through the Central Plains, thanks to this Colorado low making its way through, and a hint at what's heading tomorrow as well. We're going to start right now with a look at the active areas from the Storm Prediction Center of concern. Where you see the red, that is a moderate risk of severe weather. The orange is an enhanced risk of severe weather. Those areas in particularly will be under the threat for the most widespread and likely damaging storms. Again, St. Louis seeing activity all the way down towards Jackson, Mississippi, and then a repeat performance expected for tomorrow. And looking at the far north, where we have temperatures in the 70s today in southern Minnesota, the air increasing in moisture content, and with the spin associated with the warm front in place, we do have some worries and concerns there in southern Minnesota for severe thunderstorms as well. And let's take a look at what's going on the latest radar as we speak. So let's go ahead and take a look at that right now. Let me load up the latest radar, and we're going to go from site to site on this. But first, we'll get a look at what's going on nationally. So here we have thunder, a lot of reports with the blue icons here, wind, hail reports across the nation. We have snow flying in central North Dakota, just to the north and west of Bismarck near Minot, and a secondary band of rain showers on the cold side with north wind tunneling down. Now, it's this cold rush of air that will be working its way down tonight around the back of the system, and it's very dry, and it will clash tomorrow with another round of severe weather anticipated. So for tonight, from south to north, we'll start down south, way south, Little Rock, points north, Russellville in Arkansas, tornado warning in effect, and Mountain Home also seeing an active tornado warning at this particular time. These storms are racing to the north and east at a pretty good clip of around, on average, 30 to 45 miles per hour. Some rotation in a few of these cells. Large hail has also been reported on this storm here. The hail report was 1.8 inches in diameter near that Newton County area in Arkansas. We do have the Mountain Home storms as well that are working their way through, and a report of 1-inch diameter hail from that storm in the city of Summit. Just downwind from you folks, if you are in the St. Louis metro area, you might want to let folks know, tag them in this broadcast and let them know we have multiple tornadic storms, and you can actually see this complex of storms here has its own counterclockwise rotation shape to it. It looks as though it is a mesoscale convective complex here with maybe a vortex forming in the center right here. So this line of storms has become organized, and that's not good. Now, where we do see some purple colors and blue colors here near Sullivan, that's some ginormous hail potential with that cell north of the Bourbon and Leesburg area heading into Steelville as well. A very stout storm, but these storms are rotating, and to get the latest on that, we'll look at the single site velocity data so we can see which storms are spinning and exactly where they are spinning. So here we go while the St. Louis area radar loads up. So as we take a look at the New Haven tornado warned storm, moving it directly toward New Haven at this time, we are seeing some evidence of a shear or spin in the storm right here where you see this triangle. That would be motion away from the radar in red and motion toward the radar in the bright green shades there. This particular storm making its way to the north and east at a clip, let me see what these are moving at according to the Weather Service, 53 miles per hour. So as we take a look at the track of this particular storm, it's basically going to be in these communities at these times. Central time is what the clock is set to here on Hutch's radar here, which does correlate to what you're seeing in the St. Louis area. We'll be near Washington by 8:52, New Haven 8:43. So you have about 10 to 15 minutes to take your tornado precautions in these communities. On towards the St. Louis area or Lake St. Louis by 9:13 if that particular cell keeps up its rotating nonsense. Now, another cell here showing signs of very tight rotation. It's right here. Some of these storms go through what's called a cycle. I believe that's what's going on. And look at the width of this particular tornado warned storm. We could have a couple of active areas, as a matter of fact, of tornado activity. One heading heading toward Gerald, and another here in that general direction just to the north of the Sullivan community. Now, these storms here, according to the Weather Service's latest update, 1.75 inch diameter hail possible, 60 mile per hour motion of the storm. The wind gusts could be particularly strong with that cell as well. Now, it's going to be moving in the general direction of Union here by 8:48. So you got about 15 minutes there as well in the communities of St. Clair, Parkway, and Union to take your tornado precautions. And that would include seeking shelter in the interior-most room on the lowest floor of a sturdy structure. Get out of things like manufactured homes, mobile homes, anything of the sort like that. Campers and trailers, get out, find shelter in a more sturdy location. Steelville, you got one storm system here with rotation still showing up very evident right here on your doorstep at this particular time. And that storm, based on the National Weather Service motion, is moving at 53 miles per hour, generally over rural portions of the county here, passing just to the south of Cuba and heading to the north and to the east. So that's what's going on there. Now let's take a look up north. So St. Louis, numerous storms all the way up into Pittsfield. And then as we look into Moberly, Macon, Kirksville, these storms have passed your area with storm reports mainly having the problem of gusty winds, 60 mile per hour wind gusts there. Keokuk in Iowa, you have a windy storm heading your way and through your area now at 60 mile per hour gusts reported in the area. Now, we get on the north side of the low. Look at what way these storms are moving into parts of eastern Iowa. They're moving from south to north, heading into places like Cedar Rapids, where a severe thunderstorm warning is in effect at this particular time. Muscatine, Iowa City, as well as Davenport, all under severe thunderstorm warnings. This particular storm right here that is moving into Aledo rather, has a thunderstorm threat that is considerable. And look at this, its motion, 71 miles per hour. Are you slapping me with a big stick? Wind gusts to 70 miles per hour will be the main threat from that particular storm as well. Let me get to a Davenport radar so it's a little closer and the data will be a little more clear as to what's coming out of that storm. Now, these are flat out straight velocities that I'm looking at. I'm not looking at something called the storm relative velocity. This will show us what the radar is seeing moving directly towards or directly away from the radar. And if it's moving toward the radar, in this case it is, it can give us a very good idea of the gusty winds that are taking place right now. Let me see if I can get some measurements. So as we look straight up the beam of the storm, those winds will be blowing from south to north, or from southwest to northeast. So if we take a true measurement along the brightest area here, that would be the direction of the wind. And we are seeing measurements here of between 40 and 55 mile per hour wind gusts near the Wapello area from this particular storm. So again, a gust front blowing out and blasting out of that storm moving there. Look at this. In the Washington area, we do have some reports out there. Let me clear this out. Storm reports of 74 mile per hour winds mixing down to the surface. This activity sinking all the way up into Minnesota right now. We're south of Rochester. We have a severe thunderstorm warning for Spring Valley. If you've ever been down in this area, absolutely beautiful country there. The storm's threat here, let me get to a different radar so we can see if we can find one that's just a little closer. We'll go to La Crosse. We'll wait for that to load up, and this will give us, unfortunately, not a very good look at the wind direction. The wind from these storms will be moving again from south to north. That's what direction the gusts will likely come from. This radar is going to get across the beam measurement. But as we take a look inside this storm, what we do notice is there's some pretty rapid motion toward the radar in green just by the Cresco area here. And then you look near Lime Springs and it's weak away motion. So along the leading edge of that gust front blowing north to south is what we're looking at. And along that leading edge, we can get what are called gust nados forming. Those are brief spin-ups, and those won't be out of the question. When we look at and read the National Weather Service's warnings for southern Minnesota near Rochester, thunderstorm warning moving north at 59 miles per hour, 3/4 inch diameter hail, but wind gusts the main threat. 60 mile per hour winds. Forest State Park, Forestville, beautiful caves down there. If you're in the parks area this weekend, heading into the weekend, it's been a beautiful weekend of weather. But again, definitely a storm with a lot of wind out there. that could be toppling trees and the like. Now, we have strong storms moving through Mankato toward Le Sueur right now and Henderson. This storm cell not warned for anymore. I believe it had a warning here a little bit ago, and it'll be moving toward Le Sueur as we head into 8:44, Cologne by 9:17, and Waconia by 9:25 p.m. Then we have another one out here by the New Ulm area, just crossing through your area, moving off to the north and east. What speed is this one moving at? 45 mile per hour estimated storm motion by the National Weather Service Doppler radar out there. 45 mile per hour motion, 50 mile per hour winds, just under severe criteria. So we do have severe thunderstorms, or strong thunderstorms working their way south of Minneapolis, severe thunderstorms making their way toward the Rochester area, and all of this is going to converge. All of this moisture is now working its way into the northern plains, where we have an active blizzard warning that is in effect for portions of the northern plains. So let me open that up for you, and we'll take a look on my other monitor here. And I want to show you this. This storm system tomorrow, as we go through the overnight tonight, is going to change rain over to snow, and then we're going to be seeing a little bit of everything up here in the northern plains. Turning on the radar, you can actually see that up north of Bismarck, we already have some snow showers making their way through. Check out the thunder, the lightning making its way through Sioux Falls. I had talked about for the last 3 or 4 days the chance for some thunder sleet tonight when this energy, convective in nature, works its way north and mingles with the cold air. We're going to see areas of sleet, and I do think it's possible, even as we cross 1 to 3 a.m., to see areas and hear areas of thunder sleet, convective and accumulating ice in the area. That's going to be working its way up into the southern Red River Valley, south of Fargo, and into west central parts of Minnesota. Also, we'll be pushing up the I-29 corridor towards you folks up in the area of Watertown and Brookings. There's a heavier band of snow north of Steele in Kidder County, North Dakota. Looking up at Minot, we have some snow showers showing up there. What does this look like? Let's take a look, because we had temperatures today in and around Fargo, say, that hit the 60s today. Beautiful weather there. Now let's take a look at those road conditions. Sorry, North Dakota roads look like this at this particular time. Most of them are passable. Looking in Minot, where it's been snowing just a little bit longer, just a dusting on the road at this particular time. Not too much to worry about. We have wet roads reported out there in that Kidder County area. Oh, look at this. Snowflakes are flying out there in central and southern North Dakota. That's not far from Bismarck, the capital city. And if we take a look at the capital city, we can see that there are some wet roads out there indeed. Getting to the south, in south central North Dakota, we have what looks like flakes flying. Yep, it is. There's some horizontal flakes flying, and you can actually see the tracks on the road surface there. So there's enough slushy, wet snow falling out of this particular system to cause very wet roads there in south central North Dakota. In Steele, points south towards Ashley and Wishick, and that's what's going on right there. So now I'm seeing if my other radar will open up so I can get a look at our details with regards to the watches, warnings, and advisories. And if it doesn't open up, then we'll show you another way. All right, here we go. Let's see. Let's just go to the National Weather Service page. So to do that, I'm going to pop right up here. We got a lot of ways of getting the data and information out to you here on Hutch's Weather. Let's take a look at the nationalweather.gov page, and here is what we have going on. All of the red that you see down here in Texas and Oklahoma, that's fire danger from winds and windy storms. We do have severe thunderstorm watches in the yellow, and we do have some areas where there are tornado warnings in place out here, and we have severe thunderstorm warnings as well. All of the brown counties you see here, wind advisories, except a wind warning, a high wind warning in parts of South Dakota, western parts of Nebraska, and the high country of Colorado. And here is your blizzard warning up in northern parts of Minnesota, right down into parts of Lakes Country, Minnesota, west central Minnesota. And we do also have winter storm warnings working their way all the way up to the north. So heavy amounts of snow expected from this system, and tomorrow the threat continues. Now let's take a look at that. As we go ahead and check out the position of this low pressure system, all of this moisture is going to get lobbed up over the top of this cool air. There'll be a narrow band of wet, heavy, stinky to shovel snow. It's going to be back-breaking type of snow there as we go through. Hi from Deer River, says D. Marie. Thank you so much for joining. If you do have questions watching Hutch here on my YouTube channel, let me know. I'd be happy to try to answer them for you as we go through. But again, severe storms with tornado warnings heading into St. Louis right now. And as we take a peek down there, we can see that these storms are getting closer to the St. Louis metro area. Here is a backwards C shape, and then this does have this, like I was pointing out just a little bit ago, almost looks like a low pressure center right here and a trailing cold front. And in fact, a cluster of thunderstorms can sometimes organize its outflow in a way such that it makes its own low pressure center with its own cold front. And this looks like a convective complex called a mesoscale convective complex, maybe even starting to form a vortex not far from Herman to Owensville. So that's what's going on there. Now we do have those tornado warnings continuing in towards Washington. That is in the western reaches of the St. Louis metro area. Heading towards St. Charles by 9:30 will be the tornadic storm with its shear and spin, working its way eventually toward Ferguson by 9:36. So that will push through the western suburbs of St. Louis within the next half hour to 45 minutes. And there is 1, 2, 3, 4 active tornado warnings on the west and southwest side. These storms on average are moving northeasterly at about 40 to 60 miles per hour. So dangerous storms indeed, working their way through those areas. Mountain Home down in Arkansas, a tornado warning does continue. The tornadic part of the storm looks like it's crossing over the state boundary, heading up into southern parts of Missouri right now. So that storm is also quite strong and will be making its way towards Bakersfield by the time we hit 8:45 p.m. and then Brownsville by 9:23 p.m. Central Time is what we have going on here. So that's what's going on across the USA. And this is a look again where we started was that Storm Prediction Center outlook for tonight. Here is the tonight look. These storms are just now pushing into St. Louis. Notice the wide area. These are going to be nocturnal overnight storms that could really impact many folks out here in the Central Plains, Memphis, Tennessee, Western Tennessee, northern parts of the state of Mississippi, as well as Alabama. And then as we get into the morning hours, these storms will fizzle off as they move into parts of Ohio. Northern Grace, good to have you on board. Thanks for watching. This is today's severe weather risk. The red area, we don't see these all the time. This is a moderate risk of severe weather. Numerous tornadic thunderstorms will be possible, some of them strong, particularly on the far south side. Now let's look at tomorrow's risk. When the blizzard is ongoing up in parts of Minnesota, we will have a high risk. And this is one of only 3 times, I believe, that the Storm Prediction Center has ever issued a high risk on day 2. Usually it's for the day of. They feel strongly and the conditions are favorable with a lot of spin for long track tornadoes in excess of 50 to 100 miles. They could be on the ground for a long time, in other words. And the tornadic storms that produce these are likely to produce strong ones, and there could be an outbreak or numerous tornadoes in this area. Tupelo, Mississippi in the red, Jackson, Mississippi in the pink or the high-risk area, Meridian, Mississippi to Birmingham, Alabama are all in that high-risk area. Anyone in these areas should be on their toes, staying informed, have information at your fingertips for when storms form, and when they do, know that the atmosphere is a loaded weapon for the day tomorrow on your Saturday, the storms to begin in the afternoon. So keep that in mind as we are continue to monitor what's going on here. In the meantime, here's a look across the nation with regards to a modeled forecast of what's happening tonight and tomorrow. And to do that, I'm going to use a different window and a different set of model guidance. Let me clean this map up here so we don't have all the watches, warnings, and advisories. And again, winter storm warning, northern Minnesota. Blizzard warning, west central Minnesota, down into parts of eastern South Dakota, Watertown to Brookings. That is a blizzard warning. It does include Fergus Falls on the I-94 corridor between Fargo and the Twin Cities of Minneapolis and St. Paul. The blizzard warning stops shy of Sioux Falls and does include the I-90 corridor as well in southern Minnesota, at least for part of it. Now, as I clear off some of these watches and warnings for you here right quick, we'll go ahead and take a peek at one thing, and that's going to be this high resolution model. So let me get the latest one is 69% in. That's good enough for me. Let's get a start on it and let's take a peek. Okay, so here we go with the forecast. Let it load up for a second. and then we'll get you the latest. I hope you're having a good night. Volatile weather up and down the central plains of the United States for this Friday night. Here we go. As we go through the overnight hours, the storms now in St. Louis will continue their trek off to the east. Notice the snow diving down into South Dakota. Low pressure at the surface right in here. Heavy rain and snow develop in eastern parts of the Dakotas, and that pink is sleet. And this is when I think we could hear some rumbles of thunder between 1 and 3 a.m. Thunder, sleet possible in the north. Look how quickly these storms are heading out into parts of Indiana. Southern parts of Indiana and Illinois could see some very strong thunderstorms in the wee hours of the morning tonight, as late as 2 to 4 a.m. Then the storms start lifting out to the east into the Ohio River Valley, and as they do so, they're expected to weaken substantially. And down south, look at these storms kind of pausing right in this area and stopping. Now, as we go into Saturday in the morning, things are pretty quiet, and then boom, things really fire off here and take off through places like Birmingham, Alabama. This southerly flow of the storms, again, the individual storm cells moving southwest to northeast, and there will be all modes of severe weather possible, very large hail, gusty straight line winds, and numerous tornadoes potentially as we go through the afternoon in the deep south. So as we get you down a little bit closer to show more fine detail of this, I'm backing up the forecast model here until we get into your Saturday. Saturday, 3 a.m., 4 a.m., 5 a.m. Showers start to form by the time we get to the 7 or 8 a.m. time frame, west of Jackson, Mississippi, south of Pine Bluff, Arkansas, and Little Rock. Most of this activity slides off to the east of Little Rock to Pine Bluff, heading in toward Memphis, Jackson, and those areas as we go toward the mid-morning. And then in the afternoon, when we get the energy of the day, we'll see most of these storms lifting out as we go through the late time frame tomorrow. So basically, from morning in places like Louisiana and the eastern reaches of Arkansas, that includes Memphis and western parts of Tennessee, all the way through the afternoon hours, which is prime time for daytime heating. All of these isolated cells here will have the greatest risk at seeing some spin ups in those that could be volatile. Moving from southwest to northeast through places like Birmingham, they do eventually move into northwestern parts of Georgia, Huntsville, Alabama, and parts of southern Tennessee as well. So from Chattanooga to Knoxville, also some risk there. Meanwhile, a quick look at that snow track as we go through the northern plains. I'll back up the model here just a little bit. We'll have the snow that's taking place now make its way in the Devil's Lake Basin overnight. And this model has it drying up a touch with regards to the snowfall. And then boom, here comes the main icing event with sleet and accumulating areas of freezing rain in places. Heavy band of snow just off to the east of Fargo as you go through parts of Lakes Country, Otter Tail County, Grant County, Douglas County, Alexandria, Minnesota, St. Cloud, Minnesota. Minneapolis not getting a lot in the way of snow, but that storm system will be making its way through there. Hope you enjoyed my content here tonight. If you did, I'd appreciate you hitting that subscribe button here on my YouTube channel. Otherwise, you can follow me on Facebook. Search for Hutch Johnson, Chief Meteorologist, and my website. It showed you hutchesweather.com. Anytime, anywhere with updates on road conditions and interactive radar. For now, stay safe. The area of St. Louis bracing for multiple tornado warnings heading into the western part of the metropolitan